British Touring Cars had an romantic weekend at Oulton Park, and the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at Baku had its usual lead car drama, where if you're leading that race, you're guaranteed not to win it by the end.
Yeah.
It happens every year. You got a chance to win that, and it's not the final corner, you're not winning it.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
As you just heard, I'm joined by Nick on this episode, and also Tom, who is unusually quiet.
Hello. Well, so far.
What are we doing first this week then? F1 or touring cars?
Touring cars.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Touring cars. Touring cars it is. We are a democracy here. So it was British Touring Cars from Oulton Park for rounds 10, 11 and 12. Another split TV day with races 1 and 2 on ITV and STV before switching to ITV4 for race 3.
I forgot the whole STV thing. Is that that's what ITV is in Scotland, correct?
Yeah.
But is it identical, but you've got some local programming in the mix?
Yeah, we have local news and local programming and worse adverts, basically.
Nice.
Yeah. We've always got to put an S in front of stuff for properly branded as Scottish. We can't just import something from England. It's not like us. But yeah, we had another split day, so did everyone's TV box cope with the change?
Sort of, yes.
Mine's did.
Mine did, but then I realised that there was a power cut, so I only got half of the one on ITV4. So I missed the third race, but I managed to get it off the ITV hub.
Right, so I don't think it was a problem with the recording per se, but it jinxed my box. And I got no recordings from the day at all. Either, and I had both on series record, but because the actual device died during the day. So, coincidence, I think.
Yeah.
But, so then I used ITV Hub, which, once you find it, it was there.
Yeah.
But finding it, I think what you said, Nick, last time was it was called Part 1 and Part 2.
Yeah, it was a bit confusing.
And you put in... Yeah, and it didn't come up with BTCC as a search. You have to put touring car or British. But then it is there, and it was there in a timely fashion this time around.
Yes.
Which is great. Unlike the YouTube channel, Insert the Rant Now, which today uploaded all the Thruxton highlights. Brilliant. Nice and timely.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah, social media is not... It must be due to rights and things that they're not as quick as they should be, but it is infuriating that you don't get up-to-date social media and social content in 2022.
It's just, there's some, just to clarify, in previous episodes, and probably this one as well, we might have been critical towards some of the coverage. I think it's amazing, the coverage that's provided, especially because it's free to air and relatively easy to access and extensive. So it's amazing. It's just these little smaller details. So the content marketing sometimes is a bit off with the YouTube channel, which I think is key in the modern age to keep people engaged. It's just weird to upload the highlights of Thruxton after Oulton Park, but previous rounds have been uploaded in a timely fashion, so it's a bit weird. And there's an article on the BTCC website at the minute, the first one, and the title of it is Team Hard, Oulton Park in quotes. Now, to me, if you want actually people to read it, you would have something like Aaron Taylor Smith, that third race was mad. Yeah. If he did say that. It's just little things like that. Like the YouTube highlights are uploaded, and they're like R7 in 100S. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think using that title space, which is meant to grab you in to click it, I don't think you need to know how long the video is in that title space.
Yeah.
I'm just putting that one out there. I think that's like someone copying and pasting the file name.
Yeah. Plus, those videos are always just highlights of the wrong things in the race, I've found. They seem to miss out most of the interesting bits, from my point of view.
Yeah, it's very weird. But again, there's free-to-air coverage live, and you can watch it on ITV Hub, and there is something at least there, but just the wording of it seems to be very insular and not what the fan might want to watch. And I've finished now. Sorry about that.
You say free here. I pay more for YouTube every month than I do my TV license. So.
True, yeah, to not get the ads and play in the background and stuff like that.
£16 a month.
Yeah, I have that as well.
16.
It's very good, but
16. It's ridiculous. Anyway, on back with the touring cars. Bit of news in the weekend. I heard them saying commentary that the rear-wheel drive cars have had their boost cut to give them less of an advantage.
Wow, I missed that completely.
Yeah, I missed that as well, but I saw that was the thing.
Why isn't there an article? Is there an article on the internet with that as a title?
I don't know. It's just Tim Harvey said it on commentary prior to race 1 starting when they were on the grid. From this round going forward, they've had their boost cut.
That's controversial. Because there was a front-wheel drive car leading the championship.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit strange because I haven't heard people really complaining too much.
And just so why cut the boost? Because that's implying that they're quicker on a straight line, but I don't think that's the case, right? Why would having rear-wheel drive make it quicker on a straight line? Wouldn't you increase their minimum weight or do something else? I know boost is it, but when you've got also 2 different engines in the mix amongst the rear-wheel drive cars, that's very difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, they had some good results this weekend, and I don't have the figures like they do. But that we haven't seen a rear-wheel drive boost cut since ever, or a very long time. Correct?
Well, I just googled BTCC boost cut, and there's no news stories. But the first thing that came up was Triple Eight were unhappy about a boost cut in 2011.
Yeah.
Well, they I mean, we should, well, not that we have time, but we should write articles about this stuff on some sort of website. Because this is important stuff that, okay, they've said it in the commentary, but if I'm a fan and I want to look it up more for further understanding, I don't believe there is a clear resource at the minute. And the Autosport journalist, and Motorsport.com journalist, Marcus Simmons, he's really good, and he'll publish it in the weekly magazine. That's brilliant. But there also needs to be this thing where I can just quickly Google it on a race weekend.
Yeah, fully agree with that. I think the last time, didn't they nerf them by changing the gear ratios off the start? But it's been a long time since any boost.
Well, I think the M Sport engine got a boost increase earlier in the year. But,
yeah, it got an increase and then a decrease.
Yeah. But then it seemed, for what Tavares said anyway, it was all rear-wheel drives got a boost cut. But as you say, there's nothing on the internet.
We shouldn't be going from just Tim Harvey quotes in commentary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not bashing Tim Harvey, but I'm just saying there needs to be some extra detail to that, so that we, if you've got how many hours of coverage during the day on TV, to expect everybody to watch every single second of that is a bit unreasonable. So whether there's like a clearer news bulletin thing on the BTCC website or something that we're not missing, or is there a formal post somewhere? Either way, that hopefully easier said than done, but there could be more journalists involved. But then that's money and time, and I don't know how it works. That's mad. It's just mad that just the rear-wheel drive cars have just had the boost cut there. I'm reacting live to this and I'm rambling on, but it seems very weird to me.
Yeah,
and you said there, Nick, that they changed the gear ratios. I also think they also changed as well something in the engine management software to limit them offline.
Yeah.
But now we'd have to go away and research that. But I think it's been a combination of the years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'll think about that some more. Maybe we'll think about it in another podcast. That's 2 long rambles from me to start with. I'll back down.
On to qualifying then, and probably the big news from there is there was an incident between Tom Chilton and Jake Hill, which picked up some penalty points for Chilton. Tom, I think you're the only one of us that's seen it. So,
well, deservedly so, because Chilton just came out of the pit lane and drove into Hill side by side while Hill was on a flying lap. And they both went off onto the grass, and obviously filled the radiators up and damaged the splitters and all that jazz. In the midst of Hill on a flying lap as well. So, not ideal. Must have been in a blind spot, but he just pulled straight out of the pits, straight into him.
Yeah, that's not good at all, is it?
No, far from ideal.
So, I think there was 2 penalty points for Chilton for that, and Hill ended up 15th, so that kind of explains how he was struggling a little bit. And qualifying, no, it was Ingram who took pole, with Rory Butcher 2nd, Dan Lloyd 3rd, and Morgan 4th. So a little bit mixed up at the front. So I don't know if the hybrid was responsible for that, but it's a bit different up top.
Yeah, I think there was a couple of red flags, but I don't think they really affected people's pace too much. There was sort of in the middle of, was it 5 minutes in? Parfait broke down. And I don't know if you saw it during the race, but when he got out of the car, he was doing it in qualifying as well. He was trying to get the crowd going by cheering and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it started in qualifying, that did.
Oh, the commentator wasn't having him.
Because it looked like he binned it in one of the races, although we didn't see a replay. And he was then going to the crowd, woo, yeah, let's go for it. I mean, I can see both points.
People were racing past him, and as the commentator says, well, Rick Parfitt's clapping at anyone he can see, basically.
Yeah. At least in qualifying, everything was stopped. It was under red flags, and so giving the people who were there something to cheer for, I suppose. But it's a bit odd. And then the session ended with Moffat off and a red flag, but there was no replay as to if it was a crash or a technical. I wasn't too sure. But the main thing, which didn't come up in the races, thank God, was laps were getting deleted for track limits coming out the final corner. If you go over the curb there,
yes,
and at Lodge. But what was happening was the commentary team were not getting the information as to who did what when. The system wasn't working.
Yeah.
So basically they'll be like, oh, God, Shedden's in 24th position. That's really strange at this point in the session. Well, he might have had a lap deletion, but we're not sure.
Yeah.
So very difficult for the commentators. But anyway, that doesn't really count so much during the race day, so it was fine.
Race 1, then. Ingram got a good start off the line, but had Rory Butcher challenging him round the outside. Tom manages to keep the lead. That's basically it for the race 1, though.
Yeah.
It was it was like that every race. The leader kept the lead into turn 1, and then that's it. You're looking behind them for any action at that point.
Certainly up front, yeah. There was all sorts of action in the mid-pack in this race, but you're right. Certainly at the front, not much going on. No.
Rowbottom went backwards at the start, and Ash Sutton managed to get ahead of Adam Morgan after a little bit of rubbing to take 4th. Bobby Thompson then has bodywork rubbing in the front right wheel. Smoke just following him around for about 3 or 4 laps. And then Jake Hill picks up big front end damage after big contact. I think it was at the hairpin, and I'm not 100% sure, but I thought it was George Gamble he hit.
I believe from memory it was Stephen Jelly.
Or was it Jelly?
Yeah, Stephen Jelly.
Yeah. But I think he also said that he was hit from behind.
But
so in this safety car period, he said that, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's when it was. I knew I'd heard it somewhere. I think it was saying it was Plato.
When you watch it, back, it's a bit like it's really strange. Hill leaves a big gap to Jelly. It's almost like he's braked a little bit extra early, and so Plato's sort of in the back of him, but not in a big hit. Yeah. He's just sort of gradually pushing him towards the apex. And then all of a sudden, Hill just goes, bam! So, I don't know if there's a bit of 50-50 there. But certainly there was contact between all 3 vehicles, and Hill's car looked a bit worse for wear.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
I was surprised it kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. A big damage. Hill was keen in the wars this weekend as well. End up side by side with Sam Osborne. I think just after this incident, going through the chicane, and it was bumping through the middle of it, and Osborne ended up on the grass.
Yeah.
That chicane was a bit messy this weekend.
It was quite a bit, wasn't it? I think that might have something to do with the hybrid, because people were getting alongside a bit more than they used to, so there's a bit more side by side.
Yeah, maybe that's true.
Ashan then tried to go around the outside of Jake Hill at the hairpin. There's contact, and then Ashan goes all round the other circuits there. The international circuit.
It was a rallycross joker lap, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of Tsukuba.
he recovered it well and found that bit of track. Took out a couple of floppy markers.
Yeah, but he got the apex.
Yeah. It was a great line, and it brought him right side by side with someone else to fight. But I think he only lost 2 positions out of all that.
He managed to slow it down sideways and not spin, and like I say, grab the marker boards. It was quite impressive, really.
And avoiding the tyres on the end.
Yeah, because they stick out a bit, don't they?
Yeah, he was quite close to them, but
Dexter Patterson and then our pal George try to go side by side at the chicane. There's contact, going into the second part of it, and Dexter Patterson gets spun into the grass. #Gamble fault for this one. It was like, when you're riding on board, I think with Jay Edwards behind, it was like George has a moment in the middle of the corner which sends him into Dexter.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely Gamble's fault, but it was a bit unfortunate in that he got a snap of oversteer.
Yeah.
Now, it's his fault of error of judgment to go in there too quick on the shallow line to get the oversteer, but it wasn't like a ram up the back or push off for position, was it? It was accidental.
No, and then we get a safety car after Adam Morgan gets spun heading up the hill out of the final corner after contact with Gordon Sheridan. Sheridan tags his rear right wheel, sends him into the barrier. Sheridan gets a 3 place penalty and 3 penalty points applied to this race. What did you think of it? It was one of those where he was trying to me he was trying to get the cut back, but Adam was taking a shallow line, so you can't.
Yeah. It's one of those, it looks much worse than it's intended to be anyway. It's just a small contact, but then on a rear-wheel drive car like that, you can't touch the rear quarter. It's just going to go, but it's definitely Shedden's fault.
In the post-race interview, on which I have ultimate sympathy for, because if you've been in a controversial incident and then you've got so many people, live viewers, and Louise Goodman asking you the question, what else are you going to say, right? But he said, like, there's a new rule this year because if you have any point of overlap, people can't squeeze. Interesting new rule, but I don't think that's happened here. I don't think Adam Morgan's even exited the corner before the first tap.
Yeah.
I don't think it's even got to the straight part. And then, obviously, then he just keeps... I don't know if if the data shows he keeps his foot in, but he certainly doesn't back off a lot. So, but it's the first tip. It's the first tip. Yeah, like Colin says, you can't do anything if there's a nudge on a rear-wheel drive car. But it was still, as Adam Morgan still exiting the corner. So I thought it was really dirty, to be honest. But what I tell you, what I thought was really weird. It was a big impact, but those wheels looked straight, did they not, on that BMW?
Yeah.
And I was like, could it carry on? It got straight out, and I thought, oh, that's weird. Maybe the front left's fallen off. But then when you saw it being picked up and put on the truck, it wasn't. But I'm wondering then, if there was like a warning on the dashboard or the steering arm was broken, but you couldn't see it. So, but it was. I just thought visually it was very odd. The car looked intact.
It went quite hard, nose first into the barrier, and I think he said it shut the engine off. But I can't remember where I heard that.
Right, good one. That would explain it then.
I may have made that up. Because I don't remember hearing, but it just rings a bell.
Yeah. We've seen this incident, I think, later on as well. Pretty much the exact same thing happened.
Yeah,
It seemed to be the guy behind was trying to get the cut back, but the guy in front decided not to use all the road and exit, as he's allowed to do. Yeah. So that's what led to the contact in both instances, but it's up to the guy behind at that point to recognise I need to lift off the throttle here because I'm just going straight into him.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Jack Butel was then reprimanded for an incident with Nick Powell. Is it Nick? Will.
No.
No.
It's Will Powell. Nick Powell was a footballer, or is a footballer.
Is it? Right. So he gets reprimanded for incident with Powell. Powell retires with big damage, and it was this incident was the same as the
Is this the same race? Is this the right race?
Yeah.
Yeah, same race, exact same incident.
Oh, right, wow.
So Powell didn't get a grid penalty or anything, or Butel, sorry. Didn't get a grid penalty or anything, but he did get 2 points. I don't think he was in the points, so that's maybe why he didn't get a grid penalty, but Shedden lost 3 out of this. He just got 2 points.
I think, Shedden got a podium from it.
Yeah.
And someone else retired.
Yeah.
And it's like, oof. It does look a bit weird if you leave that podium stand, I think.
Yeah, I think that's where you got the positions, whereas Butel only got the points.
I thought Butel was at fault again, but Powell went in even harder than the BMW. That car was a wreck.
Yeah. Dan
Lloyd then tries to make a semi-lazy move on Butcher, which just allows Sutton to get up the inside of the hairpin, hold it down straight, and then at the chicane, keep the position. It was one of those. It was a half move, and it just allowed half a metre on the inside of the curb, which you don't do when Ash Sutton's behind you.
No, he will take it regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a forceful pass, but it was perfectly fair.
Yep. I think Lloyd unfortunately just went backwards through this race. A brilliant qualifying result. He said in his blog afterwards, or vlog, that they had an issue with the brake pads. And so he was sort of struggling with that through the race, and they wish they would have kept the same brake pads they used on the day before in practice and qualifying. But I suppose I don't really know how much of that is accurate or not. I wasn't driving the car, but he kept sort of running wide at the hairpin a few times, and at the Knickerbrook chicane area. Didn't he go off there as well once? So, but sometimes I thought he was just trying to make a interesting move that just didn't work, like you said, Colin.
Yeah.
It was, you're right, he went backwards. Shedden got past him. You're right, cut the chicane when Carmish and Tuckington were trying to get past him. So, he just went backwards. He had a great qualifying. The rest of the weekend was horrible.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he even got fastest lap in this race as well, didn't he? Sorry. So he had pace.
Some of the car positioning was just a bit odd.
Mm.
Yeah, probably just not used to running at the front with those guys.
Yeah, true.
Ashan then retires. Sutton and Butcher then clash and have a little squabble through the first sector, which allowed Ash Sutton through for a second. And then Shedden made a opportunistic pass to take third on the road at the hairpin from Butcher, but obviously lost it after the race. Moffat and Jake Hill have a great fight, rubbing all the way through the first and second sectors, and Aidan Moffat came out on top in that one. And that was it. End of race 1. Anything for you guys?
I just want to say that the Butcher-Sutton battle, I felt like Butcher was clever enough. They were side by side for a few corners, and so he basically conceded down to the hairpin in order to keep a podium, but then still went wide.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, I'm going to fall by Ash Sutton here. I've given up, right? Oh, no, but I've still missed my breaking point. And that gave the opportunity for Shedden to stick a nose in. So bad timing, bad manoeuvre, but yeah, it didn't matter in the end anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was
so
also, sorry, Colin, there was also the Gamble watch.
Ah.
Gamble watch. I like how he said that.
Gamble. Don't know what that accent was.
Yeah, all mine.
He did not have the best of races, or indeed weekends, and he finished 18th.
Well, there was that contact with Patterson early on, and he was driving around the car, which seemed to have half the bodywork missing.
Yeah.
So it was Ingram, Sutton, Butcher on the podium, Turton, Kama, Shedden ended up 6, Lloyd held on to 7, despite all his best efforts to lose it. Rowbottom ended up 9th with Collard 10th, so that was the first time we've seen Collard really have a decent race for a while.
Pleasing, very pleasing.
Yeah, I thought that.
And Aidan Moffat recovered to 12th. I'd said last week I wanted to speak about him. Now I want to speak about him less, because this weekend went alright.
No, it's been a terrible season so far, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But this weekend was very good.
Yep.
Comparatively.
Yeah. Parfit was last on the road. Half a second behind the next car. So he must have pitted at some point that we didn't see. So, on to race 2.
Yep.
Great start again from Ingram. Keep the lead, and that's it for the win.
Yeah,
It was
pretty
really
much.
no fights.
See you later.
Yeah. Same as race 1 as well. Rowbottom has another terrible start and ends up on the grass. So he has to pit.
No, he's nerfed by Thompson in that manoeuvre.
Mm.
That's why he's on the grass. I watched it back, and there's definite contact there. But he was very slow up to that point, actually, sorry. He seemed like he ran wide through cascades, lost a couple of positions, then that put him in the position where Thompson was right behind. So there was an element of his own downfall there.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 bad starts, so I wonder if there was an issue. But Moffat made a great start. He managed to get around the outside a few cars at turn 1 and then going down the hill and then into the hairpin. Managed to pick up another 2, I think.
Yeah, it was lovely.
So, great start from Moffat, just stuck on the outside and avoided all the trouble. Tuckton then puts Rory Butcher under a bit of pressure for a few laps. Then on lap 8, Colin takes the outside line in the hairpin. Butcher expects him to try and cut back, so defends a tight exit, but Tuckton just drives around the outside of him.
Yeah,
I loved that. Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? Very,
really,
very clever.
He really mugged Rory off there, didn't he?
Yeah, it didn't look good for Butcher, but I could see what Butcher was trying to do, and I probably would have done the same. But
yeah.
He triple bluffed him.
Well, even Tim Harvey, as he was live commentating the movie, was going, "Oh, Colin's going to duck up the inside here," and then he was like, "Oh no, he's not." So
I think he might have said "champions pass" again. This is a new expression.
Yeah.
How many champions are on the grid then? So there's 4.
Shedden, Sutton, Turkington,
Plato.
I feel like there's another one, but there probably isn't.
I don't think so.
Yeah, if he uses it on anyone other than those 4, we're allowed to bash him for it. If he uses it for them, then we'll accept it.
Yeah.
But that was a really, really nice move. Holly Jackson and George Gamble then have a moment in the exit the final corner as we're riding live on board with Jay Edwards. I think there's a touch and both of them end up in the grass, which allows Edward past them both.
Oh, that was awkward, wasn't it? Yeah. Was that?
Yeah.
Was Gamble on the outside?
Yes.
I feel like Ali Jackson moved a bit left and then they got tangled.
Yeah, this was probably the quietest race out of the three.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah.
There wasn't too much else happened. Gordon Chen didn't get up the inside of Dan Camish at the hairpin.
Only because Camish ran wide though, didn't he? A slight mistake from Dan again there. He'll get there, but not ideal.
Yeah, he ran a bit wide and then Chen pushed past him. A couple of bashes on the way past. All fair enough. When I watched it back, I rewound it a few times to see if it was deliberate by Dan. Maybe he was trying to, V off the corner, but you just don't do that.
No. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it definitely looked like he just outbraked himself slightly.
Yeah. Good recovery for Sharon. Hill's really quick. Josh Cook's making moves and then all of a sudden just stops. So Hill comes through and past them both and gets himself back up to 7th after a disappointing race 1. And that's all I've got for race 2. There wasn't much else.
Pretty much. I mean, I was quite disappointed in Josh Cook's performance on this one, in that I thought he would push on a little bit more after getting some hybrid back, but it just seems not to have the car set up for the track more than anything else.
According to the commentary and no articles online or interviews, potentially talking about a lack of straight line speed, but I feel like it's car setup related. What I would say in this race was Adam Morgan was a man possessed.
Yeah.
Coming from the back up to, was it 16th at the end? He did Plato around the outside near the end.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting actually from the first, in qualifying and the first race, he was the top BMW until the moment.
Yeah.
So that's actually a very, very positive performance, even though the result wasn't there.
No,
It's not been many times he's been top BMW. That's all. Without reverse grids and such.
No, and he took his reverse grid win superbly last week. And you're right, all 3 races he was always involved and he came out on top in most battles he was in. So only change the results in this race was that Tuckington took 3rd instead of Butcher in this one.
Oh, we should do a ball watch.
Before that, you've got Gamble watch.
Oh, yeah.
Same again. 18th.
Wow. No, it's not called ball watch, is it? What's it called?
Ballgate.
Ballgate.
You coined the
Ballgate was
phrase
fine.
as well.
Yeah, there was the same number of balls. It's fine. Although Tom Ingram picked it out, and he picked out number 12.
Yes, he looks very happy about that.
He was hamming it up.
Yeah. So that put Stephen Jelly on pole with Aaron Moffat 2nd, Ricky Cord 3rd, and Josh Cook 4th for the 3rd race of the day. Race 3, you can normally expect a bit of chaos and carnage, and this one delivered. Jelly got away from Moffat, and the first 2 were pretty comfortable in their positions. Hill ends up wide at turn 1 and then goes straight on at the hairpin. Did he get a bump, do you think? I couldn't see.
It was odd. I didn't see any kind of bump, but I don't know if running wide had done something to the car or not, because he carried on, I think, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, he carried on, rejoined them last, but the car just didn't stop.
Yeah, it just seemed really odd.
Very strange. And then there was a big crash of the weekend. On the straight after the hairpin, you've got Ricky Collard with Josh Cook behind them, pressurising them. Ricky's getting alongside Dan Lloyd. Lloyd then moves across on Ricky. Ricky's right on the white line, so he's as far over as he can go. Lloyd comes across the front of him, which spins him into barriers, and then bounces back on the track where he's collected by Turkington. So the front end of his car's smashed, and then cars scatter everywhere. You've got Michael Crease takes to the grass and ends up colliding with Lloyd miles off on the grass. Just really bad luck to end up hitting him. I think Ingram goes on the grass and has to pit. Sutton goes on the grass and has to pit. So there's cars everywhere, and there's 2 cars smashed up, and Michael Crease has had a wee ding as well for his troubles, which is a shame. Huge crash. Turns out Lloyd is relatively okay. Bruised, I think it's a bruised ribs and a bruised lung.
Bruised lung, which sounds horrible to be honest, but I assume that will heal relatively quickly.
Yep, and swollen knackers as well.
Yeah, that was my quote of the weekend.
Nobody wants that.
No.
Relatively short turnaround till the next round as well, so
Mm.
there's a lot of work to be done for both the BMW and the Hyundai teams.
Yeah, don't quote me on it, but I'm sure I've seen it somewhere that was over 200 grand worth of damage.
I wouldn't doubt that.
Yeah.
Both the front ends where the engines are just wrecked.
But what did you think of the incident?
Dan Line move across. I mean,
Yeah.
Ricky Collard's got an overlap. And actually, to quote Gordon Shedden now, if there's this rule where if you've got an overlap you can't squeeze, then I'm afraid that was violated. But the stewards are Clark are not going to do anything until the next round because it was race 3. There's a surprise.
Yes. That's when the stewards have gone home.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was clearly Dad's fault. It seems mean to say it after what happened to him, but, you know, he did move over when there wasn't room to do so.
It's hard racing, and maybe it would have got away with it somewhere else, but
Yeah.
it doesn't quite work there. And you don't want grass in the radiator, as we've seen all weekend, so Collard's not going to completely back out of it. He also has someone right behind him. And it reminded me of 1999. Jason Plato was forced off here by James Thompson in a rather rude manner, although this had far worse consequences because Dan speared back across. And I felt Turkington was hapless. And one interesting thing in his quote was, and I always forget this, that you can make a right-hand drive or a left-hand drive car in BTCC, which I think is really unique in the rule set. And he was just behind, was it Dan Camish? Who, by the way, if you watch that Dan Camish, I don't know how he avoided that. There isn't a gap between his car and Lloyd's car. It's wild.
Yeah, I think it was him and Ingram, wasn't it, that sort of split and left Turkington there.
What do you think, Colin?
Yeah, just as you guys said, I think Lloyd moved across. I feel sorry for Tuckington mostly out of it because it ruined his race and it's expensive damage to the front end of his car. So that was a bit of a shame for him.
I've seen a still image from side on. Actually, it's on the Dan Lloyd YouTube channel because he has to show the incident from like fan footage because of rights. Fair enough. And there's a picture when the actual impact happens, and Turkington's head is almost in his lap. The force of the incident, and that's never good for someone's neck or back or anything, is it?
Yeah, because we've said about Dan Lloyd, Turkington escaped injury as well. I think he was just bruised.
Yeah,
but
they were both checked out, weren't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Dan Lloyd had to go to hospital just to have checks on ribs and lung,
CT scan and all this. Yeah.
So there's Autosport are reporting that there might be doubts over Lloyd competing the rest of the year, just mostly due to the finances. So I think he was going to have a meeting with the team this week and discuss how they go forward.
I think it all depends on how much it's going to cost to repair, because you have, or most drivers will have, within their budget, they obviously have the cost to run the car, but then they also have an allocated a rough amount for damage each year. Then you find the sponsorship that covers it all. But if that takes up the full damage budget for the year, then that's going to be tricky. So you might be able to run again, but under fear of no incidents, which is never good mentally, is it? Because you sort of, I suppose you want to go out there and attack.
Well, yeah, plus you don't know if it's a case of rebuilding that car or having to build up a new shell. I'm not sure how much of that's been damaged.
I mean, it's a massive hit.
I mean, the cynical part of me says we'll just give him Butel's car, but, that's not how it works, is it? Because everyone has their own sponsors for their own drives.
And interestingly, a previous round, Marvin Thruxton, according to the commentary, because that's what we've got to go from, Dan Lloyd was potentially querying, is there a chassis strength difference between his and Ingram's car? Well, there definitely will be now.
Yeah. Yeah, I do hope that it doesn't affect his running for the whole season, because he's just starting to come good in that car as well.
Yeah, this was a very positive weekend until that. I mean, we've said in the races have gone backwards, but to get a fastest lap to qualify up there, it's still promising, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it will be investigated at the next round at Croft because, as you say, the stewards were gone at that point. Must be good being a BTCC steward. You sack it off halfway through the day.
Actually, there was one thing for race 3 which is really weird. I don't know if either of you saw it. For Ash Hand.
Yeah, I didn't see what he did.
Driving in a manner deemed to be potentially dangerous. I don't know what that could be.
Yeah, he got a reprimand and 2 penalty points, but didn't see what he did.
It was definitely not on camera, and there's no further description.
Yeah. It's very weird, isn't it?
It's such a weird description.
Yeah.
Could it be under safety car or something? I don't know.
I'll tell you what, actually, I don't know if it was in this race or not, but did he not cut the chicane at one point with Bobby Thompson? In the commentary, they said it was crease, but it was Hashand.
Ooh,
I had a note here. Hang on a minute.
But then I think that's the one where he had to retire, so that would have been race 1.
Yeah, I thought it would be race 1 because there was a shot of him getting out of the car, cleaning the grass out on his own, wasn't there?
Yeah, and then the brakes.
But that's not driving, is it? That's just sort of being dangerous at the side
I
of
just
the
wondered
track.
because if it's the incident I'm thinking it was, he could have made the corner, but he decided to chase across the grass because the other car had gone that way. Is what it looked like to me.
I feel like that was a different race.
Yeah, so do I. But that's the only thing I can think of that would be potentially.
I had something down here. Thompson and Hand overtake briefly under the safety car.
Yeah. To do with that then.
Thompson had a banner on the front of his car, didn't he?
He did.
Yes.
He slowed down and someone overtook him. And I think it was Hand.
That would
Well,
make
But
sense.
then he sped back up again.
Well, he slowed down to try and drag the banner across the grass. So, if that's why Ash Hand's got a penalty, I think that's a bit harsh because the guy in front of him basically parked.
Yeah.
I agree, but we don't know. Where can I speculate? But that's the only thing I had there that I thought, that's weird. But he did really slow down, but he didn't stop. So I don't know. Well, I'd love to get clarification on that.
I was quite interested in what he said during that. When he said, if I had that on the front of my car, I think I'd just drive right up to the car in front of me to rub it off. It's just like,
That would have worked, I think.
it would, but is that not slightly dangerous to deliberately hit another car in
Under a safety car. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Well, yeah. That's very different. But remember the time when Gordon Shedden at Snetterton deliberately hit a tyre bale to get rid of his front wing?
That was brilliant.
Slightly different, but that was amazing. Yeah, sorry. So during the safety car as well, wasn't the Hill and Sutton arguing?
Yeah.
And overtaking each other and returning serve, and I thought that that's interesting.
Yeah, that was Sutton coming out the pits, and Jake wasn't for giving them up the position.
Well, neither of them were.
No. I don't know how. I don't think that was investigated or anything came of that, but
no, and Hill stayed in front of the restart, so I'm assuming that everyone thought that was the correct position.
And eventually Thompson does pit and retires. I guess the engine's cooked.
Yeah.
I think in that scenario I would have probably stayed out to try and get rid of it by driving over grass and stuff. But I think he might have ended up putting more grass in the front.
True.
But also it just covers up the radiator. It just cooks it. You're going to just pull in straight away, I suppose, in hindsight.
Yeah, these cars are very prone to it, aren't they? Any kind of blockage of the radiators, they just die instantly, it feels like.
Yeah, I would agree with
that. Back racing then, former teammates Aaron Taylor Smith and Jason Blake have a little fight. It's going at the final corner. I think both of them are rubbing, and that let Morgan get past, going up to turn 1, but then Taylor Smith just pushes him out wide again.
Yeah,
Got his elbows out this weekend, Taylor Smith, as you'd expect.
He always gets his elbows out a little bit more when Plato's involved as well, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But Plato lost out big time.
Oh, yeah.
It was really short-sighted.
He didn't really have anything of note this weekend that went well for him.
Just, I don't know if it's lack of confidence again. Seems to make these half moves that then mean he loses 3 positions.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to bump in properly.
Yeah.
But just doing that and then backing out and just means you lost momentum and everybody else went through.
Dexter Patterson and Jade Edwards are then bashing each other up over the hairpin, and it ends up with Jade Edwards off wide, who loses a few places, and then George Gamble then goes off with a puncture going towards turn 2. I don't know car names, so going through turn 2 he ends up with a puncture and he's straight off and just parks the car.
Yeah, no idea why, to be honest, assuming there was contact somewhere.
Yeah, didn't see it, so it didn't show on TV. Then we get a bit of a fight between Dan Camish and Aaron Morgan. It gets a little bit squirrely in a couple of the laps where Camish moved across in the braking zone. luckily for him, gets away with it and manages to keep position. But yeah, all level up front.
Still amazing that Morgan's up there in that position, considering what happened in race 1.
Yeah, but you don't get the. I'm not sure the hybrid system's really working in the way that they hoped.
In terms of like the balanced performance style.
Yeah. It's based, as we've seen this weekend and I think last weekend, whoever's on pole, apart from if your name's Jason Plato or in the front row, you're going to win. And then you've had Ingram win 2 in a row and then Jelly winning for pole. Good win for Jelly and great for Aidan Moffat at the podium as well.
Yeah.
But, superb drive from Jelly. And just want to clarify that maybe we spurred him on.
Possibly.
We're taking credit.
Yeah, always. Yeah. We are the Jason Plato to his Tom Ingram.
We've not really had in the past 6 races real big fights for the lead. It's been a bit. It's pure. I'm not going to argue with that, but it's not as manic as it was at the front last season or the season prior.
Yeah, it's definitely the quietest Oulton Park I've seen for a little while in terms of overall excitement. What was there was good, but there was a little bit of a downward trend in the actual excitement.
I just hope there's not an overreaction to this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the last thing we need is the next round. 2 tire compounds coming back. Or double the hybrid boost. The thing with the hybrid booster is, I don't suppose we know if it's technically possible that it can be boosted up in its current format. You know, do they need to have a bigger battery to recoup more? Or can it be turned on a dial? It could be at its maximum oomph at the minute, for all we know. So, initial thoughts, I think when we were discussing last episode was, maybe they should boost it up a bit, but we don't know if that's possible. And also, I just think, it is the purest form, like you say, of British touring car racing we've had for generations. Is it exciting enough? Not sure, but I'm still enjoying it, and it's just a bit more subdued.
Yeah.
And people who are sponsoring cars 15th down have less chance than ever of getting a podium result.
Yeah,
and therefore coverage, and therefore if they're not getting coverage, do they get sponsored again next year? Therefore, will we see diminished grid sizes next year and the year after if there's less chance of being on TV? Which might not be a bad thing, but if you just have 20 amazing cars on the grid, but still.
Yeah, and it feels a little bit quieter at the back as well. You know, I had that pack of cars last year that they always could cut to, that were always fighting. It was like Edwards and Neat and everyone.
That's a good thing that that's not there, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but at least if there's nothing at the front, you had that. Like, I thought the midfield was exciting this weekend, but at the back, like, I don't remember ever seeing Nick Hamilton. Almost seen Rick Parfitt when he was on the side of the road. So, you know, like...
True, yeah.
Those guys have the same fight as they were last year.
They mentioned Nick Hamilton in commentary, but I don't remember seeing the car once.
Yeah, same. I think he is actually been a bit quicker this year.
Yeah.
I think he's ahead of Parfitt. And therefore, that's maybe why there's not so much battling on. I think
it could
Powell, Boutel, they are right. They're a bit more spaced out, aren't they? Or maybe he's just behind them. I'm looking at the results here, but yeah.
I have to say as well, Dexter Patterson had a good scrap going on with Jake Hill at one point.
Yeah, and you want to see that, don't you? Yeah.
Yeah, that was
because he might not be used to the car, but he just didn't roll over.
Yeah, because I think Jake Hill had already got past him at that point, and he just fought back at him. It was lovely to see. And he's coming along nicely as well, Dexter, I think.
Very sceptical or cynical towards him at the start of the year. I think I was anyway, and several people online, and it rightfully proved everybody wrong. He's very, very young, isn't he? Youngest driver on the grid for a long time.
Yeah.
So you have to also think of the potential as well. A few seasons under his belt. It's looking good.
It's the fact for me that he's come in and he's not immediately at the back of the grid like many other drivers who have never raced in touring cars have been. He's getting stuck in straight away.
Yep, very good point.
Yeah, and a good weekend for that team. We're just hopefully going to help them move up, get a bit more performance, because I think they made a lot of mistakes themselves in the way they've set up the car throughout the year, but they've also had a lot of bad luck. with punctures and damage. But
they weren't really up there when those happened either.
No. This was I think we made a lot of mistakes on our own. But this was a weekend for Aiden, at least, where he got good points and ended up with a second.
Oh yeah, superb result.
Mm.
Congratulations. Good to see him back on the podium again.
He did fall back on his old ways a little bit, didn't he, at the beginning of race 3?
Try him round the inside.
Yes.
Yeah,
for a couple
I
of
did laugh
laps.
at that.
But yeah, he held him off and then he started putting away again. So
I think I wrote down at some point, the Moffat defence starts. But it was actually Ollie Jackson who was mainly doing that, wasn't he, in this race?
Yeah.
So the driver standings coming out of Oulton Park. Josh Cook's leading, 15 points ahead of Ingram. And he is 18 points ahead of Ash Sutton. It's getting a bit... This top four is getting a little bit separated for the rest as well.
Oh, definitely. Well, they're clearly standout top form performers at each race, though.
Yeah.
So again, it's more purist, but at least they are in different cars and different teams each. You don't just want every BMW at the top or every Napa Ford.
I still think Jake Hill's in with a shout if things go his way, but
he just needs to settle down.
Come back quickly because, like you say, he's a little bit adrift at the moment. Well, I say a little bit. He's 50 points off the lead, but
you've got to be in previous seasons within the 40-point range with 2 rounds left. So you're right; he's still in contention. Just a bad weekend.
Yeah, still 6 race weekends left to go. Next up is Croft, 25th and 26th of June, before Knockhill a week later.
Which, as all the commentators will say, it's Dan Lloyd's local track, but he lives closer to Oulton Park, and I'm very glad that actually Dan Lloyd actually said that at some point during the coverage, during the interviews. I think it was qualifying. It's good to get a result at my local circuit in Oulton Park. So I'm glad he set the record straight on that.
Well, there'll be another round of Croft bingo of things to go, won't there?
Yeah.
It's a rear-wheel drive circuit.
Yep.
Yeah. Colin Turkington is the king of Croft.
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah.
Flappy markers will disappear on lap 1.
And the tyre stacks halfway around the lap will get smashed if they exist, or is it foam this year?
Someone will go in a field. All of these things will happen.
Yeah. Still looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I know we're going long here, but a couple of small points. Rob Collard? Oh my word. Ricky Collard got a 5-second penalty at the final race for being ahead of his grid box. I thought 5 seconds was quite lenient in the end. Not a drive-through or anything. And the other thing is, during commentary, because we can't, it's a recurring theme, I'm going to keep saying it, we don't have any other source. The Napa Ford Focus from Motorbase have had further development. In the last round, they had some development, but it was not specified what it was. In this round, they've done some things to move the weight further back within the chassis. So it just goes to show that, yes, while there are stock parts, it's not a spec formula, which is often a misconception. You can do your own development work with, such as how the car breathes and also where the weight is distributed within the chassis. But behind the front subframe, I believe there is freedom to do your own, structural rigidity things with how the roll cage is integrated, and then somehow where the things must be placed within the chassis, I'm not sure. And apparently they've moved theirs further back. But I don't know if the other Motorbase cars of Osborne and Jackson also receive these upgrades.
That's a good point. You would think so, because they're all under one banner, but...
Yeah. But it's clear that the Napa team has got the big backing that they need to impress in the top 2 top drivers, so maybe they get it first, who knows?
Possibly.
On to Azerbaijan then, for the... I forgot that this one wasn't always Azerbaijan Grand Prix. It started off as a European. I think it's the 6th race at Baku this year. Start off with qualifying. Lance Stroll crashed, which...
Twice.
Standard.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awful weekend. I don't want to cut too far forward to the race, but I feel like they retired him out of sympathy as well to avoid embarrassment. I don't believe it was a technical fault. I think, this guy's a loose cannon round here. Let's pull him in.
Yeah, let's save the damage. Vettel also crashed in qualifying, but it was a gentle crash and he was able to reverse at the barrier with not much damage.
Very cleverly, mid-crash, he realised I need to straighten up the wheels and get dead on so that it's just a wing damage.
Yeah, this year's front wings seem much more resilient than previous ones, where they don't have all the furniture, as they call it, all over them.
I don't like that expression. It's
No,
not
me
really
neither.
furniture, is it? It's more addendums, maybe, or appendages. Anyway,
The sticky out bits.
Sticky out bits, that's it. Yeah. Stroll didn't, when he hit the barriers once, he didn't then change the wing, I don't think, did he?
No, he didn't change the wing.
I haven't looked into it. Don't think so. They didn't have time. But
yeah.
That could have been a contributing factor to understeer at turn 2 into the wall, but I haven't looked into it further to see. But you never know if there was a percentage difference. And then, it feels different. He's gone wide.
Alonso was up to his old tricks also in qualifying.
Outrageous, that was. Outrageous.
Driving really slow on his out lap and on his final lap, and then coming towards turn 462, whatever it is.
15.
Turn 15. He pulls a Schumacher and pretends that he's locked up the rear by turning in miles before the corner and misses it. Has to take the escape road, and it means that everyone behind him can't improve. And it gets him through Q1 into Q2, which I immediately tweeted, that's a penalty. But in the world of Formula 1, that's not a penalty. So I suppose it's hard to prove intent, but
yeah,
there is.
No, it's not hard. You just watch the video.
Exactly. He had no ambition in making that corner.
So Julian Palmer, of all people, who works for Formula 1, did an excellent video analysis of this, including how Alonso's looking in his mirrors throughout the entire flying lap, quote unquote, and speaking to his engineer on the radio saying, who's behind me and have they through yet to Q2 or not? So all of these things are like, well, that's guilty as anything, isn't it? And he wiggles the steering wheel like mad down to turn 15. But I think he gets away with it because the data shows that he did brake later than normal. Now, that's how Nico Rosberg got away with that Ferrari at Monaco by doing something similar. Remember when he was it like 2014?
Yeah.
He set a quickest lap in qualifying and oh no, I've gone down this skate road.
Yeah.
But the data showed that he did brake later, therefore, he's missed the braking point. And that's ultimately what got Alonso off here, I think. And the other weird thing is, well, like Albon was obviously holding up people with blue flags in the last race, didn't get a penalty, and now he's here complaining about someone else. It's a different scenario, and that should not be part of the steward's decision. But I did see some people online going, "Oh, he's one to talk." But I just thought it was really crafty, and I was trying to think for ages, why would he do it though? He's clearly got a car, and he himself is quick enough to get through. But what they did is they put used tyres on, which were never going to be good enough, and that meant he saved the set for later on in the weekend.
Yeah.
By doing this. So it's clever, but it seems a bit excessive.
Yeah, and it has led to the, I think it's the FIA, looking at potentially giving out penalties for people causing yellow flags or red flags in qualifying, but I'm not sure how that's going to be policed.
I don't think you can give anyone a penalty for causing a yellow flag. But if it's a red flag, you can just strip them off the best time, which other series do enforce.
BTCC does the same, doesn't it, I believe?
Well, does it? I know for certain that the supercars in Australia used to do.
Yeah.
I think the new rule should be Fernando Alonso causes a yellow flag in qualifying. He gets disqualified because he's probably meant it.
Yeah.
Well, it was a train in Monaco, but that was during a race, so that was fine. But I thought this one was too cheeky. Cheeky for Fernando.
The other cheeky thing was, was it Sochi? Was it last year, the year before? Cutting the first chicane deliberately and practicing it. Was that Alonso?
Yes, it was.
Not first, second corner, but you know what I mean. The first tight
on his warm up laps. He's I'm not taking this corner, and then he didn't take that corner.
Yeah. Now the thing is with these, at the same time, part of me thinks, well, if that's the rule set, then aren't you employed to exploit them to the maximum? But it's the spirit, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't even really want to go into it much, but it's the whole porpoising / bouncing issue as well. About that's the same kind of thing, isn't it? Everyone's trying to exploit what they can and can't get away with.
Yep.
The politics of F1.
Mm-hmm.
If only people would just go out and race.
Yeah.
But no, that would be too boring if they did that.
What are you going to talk about in between races?
Exactly. What's Netflix going to be talking about? You need to have Will Buxton looking sternly at a camera and
Stating the
repeating
obvious.
the most obvious phrase.
Yeah. If you lead a Formula One race, you'll win the Formula One race.
Yeah, got to have all that going on. So you need a bit of the controversy. But qualifying, Charles Leclerc took pole from Sergio Perez, Max, and then Sainz. Hamilton was behind Gasly, so the AlphaTauris were pretty decent here. Yeah, both Hasses I think were out in Q1 for the first time.
Haas, by the way, going backwards quickly.
Mm.
But I would say it could be track dependent, but they haven't been sparkling for a while now.
No,
quite a few rounds.
They haven't.
I don't know what
updates.
Is that what it is? So there've been not a single update yet, right? That's it's all very well saving up your development tokens for this season, but then why aren't they using them this year as well? That's a bit strange.
Yeah, I think there's been issues with getting everything ready in time, so I think they're basically trying to get a bigger update later rather than smaller updates throughout. But whether that pays off or not, we'll have to see.
I mean, Magnussen did have some pace during the race, didn't he? But it's still not been stellar the last few races now. And part of me thinks, have they reverted to type?
Yeah.
Yeah, because everyone around them's starting to get their act together.
Yep.
Zhou out-qualified Bottas as well, so that's probably the other pointing note from qualifying.
Yeah, comfortably as well. Bottas even said, didn't he, that he just couldn't compete with Zhou around Baku, which I thought was quite rather a humble thing for a racing driver to say.
It was really good, Zhou, this weekend. They even put him back in front of Bottas during the race before they then had to retire again for another problem. But I thought this was probably his best weekend so far. He's clearly getting more comfortable.
Yeah, definitely.
And actually find some pace.
I think he's been good all year. Like, there's been times when he's been far behind Bottas, but you expect that.
Yeah.
As long as you show glimmers of you can at least match a Formula One race winner. That's good for a debut season.
Definitely.
Yep.
I didn't expect much of him this year, to be perfectly honest, but
Same.
he's looking much better than I thought he would.
He's the Dexter Patterson of Formula One.
Yeah. This new livery might have helped them.
New livery?
They did for this race, Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
They had
did have a bit of green on it.
Italian flag, effectively. It was red, white and green.
It could have been so much nicer.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't notice, so...
Exactly.
Good clue worked. So, race start. Perez gets up inside turn 1. Big old cut for Leclerc. So, Sergio takes the lead and immediately flies off a couple of seconds ahead. Rest of the field, nothing really happens, which is strange for Baku. I think we're just missing Kimi being there because no one's something manic happened around him.
Yeah. It's because Ocon can't get close to Perez this year, so they can't smash into each other.
Yeah. There's still hope. Alpine looked like they would be quick here at various times, and then they were the quickest on the straight. I think Alonso was saying even with cars behind him who had DRS, he was still pulling away in the straight.
Yeah.
Even when they had their DRS. Which is crazy. But I think they've been quick all year in the straight line. They're just starting to get the rest of the car a bit better as well now. And then we had more bad luck for Carlos Sainz, who stopped on lap 9 due to hydraulic failure, which brought out the VSC, which allowed Charles to pit for hard tyres. Mercedes stacked, which allowed Vettel to get past Hamilton. Red Bulls decided to stay out, but if Carlos Sainz didn't have bad luck, he'd have no luck.
Yeah. I just want to go and give him a hug, to be honest.
It's been a disastrous start to his Ferrari year. Second year with Ferrari, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
and a good one last year, but not this one. It's self-inflicted, some of it, and the others like this. Wow, it's just really unlucky, unfortunate.
Yeah, Ferrari have got some big problems on their hands with look at it.
Yeah.
It's starting to look a little bit ominous. I don't want to say it too early, but I think Red Bull have got it.
Yeah, it's looking that way. So, both Red Bulls dropped behind Leclerc after they eventually stopped, but then lap 20, Leclerc's engine blows in the main straight. So there was 4 Ferrari cars out this weekend with engine problems.
Yeah,
Were they all Ferrari
Magnussen-
engines?
Yeah, Magnussen, Zhou, Leclerc, and Sainz all out of engine problems.
Sainz
And
was
all
hydraulics,
different, apparently.
wasn't
Yeah, true.
he?
His was hydraulics.
Mm.
The rest, I think, were engine.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Bernal says he would rather have a quick car that was unreliable than a reliable
Yes.
car that was slow, but
I agree
you
with him.
still don't get points for either. So
Yeah, I suppose it is easier to get reliability back than get performance back, but
Yeah, or to make a driver who's really quick and crashes to stop crashing, then make a slow driver. Yeah, I've got confused with my own analogy there. But,
I know what
you
you
know
mean, though.
Yeah, we'll move on, quick.
it's such a turnaround though, because at the start of the year it was Red Bull engines that were going left, right, and centre, and all of a sudden it's now Ferrari. So
Yeah, that could still all turn around.
Yeah, it's far
keep
too
going.
early in the year because it's such a long year, but it's not ideal, is it?
Vettel then tried to put a move on Ocon into turn 3, but he overcooked it. Manages to keep out the barrier going in the escape road, and it made a beautiful recovery.
It was worth it just for that.
Yeah, doing an immediate donut, no stopping at all, but then he did almost wipe out Tsunoda, I think,
Yeah.
and rejoin.
Also, his rear wing was like, again, there was no gap between the rear wing and the wall or the tyre stack or whatever was just sticking out there.
No.
A real shame because I actually think he would have been at least fifth without that.
Yeah. With the exception of that moment, he had a really good race.
I think Mark Webber made a really good point that his driving style and car setup philosophy, I suppose, or a combination, has always nailed a 90-degree corner. When they were teammates, apparently, he could never get near Vettel if the track had 90-degree corners. And this is full of them. But unfortunately, he said that, and then Vettel went off straight away. But
Yeah.
but if you look at the gap between Vettel and Stroll this weekend, it's monumental.
Yeah.
It's a chasm.
Yeah, I think Lance Stroll's starting to get really shown up this year.
Mhm.
I don't think we can say Vettel's been driving exceptionally well. He's been driving pretty well, and he's spanking them.
And also, he's banking. But after a torrid start to the year, I mean, Australia, for example, didn't he crash every session or something? But that was his first race back after COVID. Yeah, it's difficult. But for that car, P6 is and fighting for fifth and fourth so far is unprecedented, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, it is a new car, which is
Oh yeah, the Red Bull copy.
That's true, yeah.
a Red Bull imitation. But one of the drivers is taking advantage of it.
But
The other one isn't.
exactly, and this is what we're talking about. Haas's strong start fading away. It's going to be Aston Martin now, who seem to be on the ascendancy, getting all those points, and they might finish ahead of them again.
Yes.
Well, that's the big thing about Haas. But Schumacher having such a bad start to the season, it felt like Haas needed to take the opportunity then
Oh,
to get
yeah.
points,
100%.
and he's still not scored.
He might not
Whereas-
now. You never know, because the car might not be advancing as quick as it needs to be.
Exactly. So they missed their chance to have two cars in the top 10, possibly, which is going to be a big blow for them going forward in the year. Max then took the lead to Perez, so he was just quicker than him. He had a better car setup apart from me, and Red Bull told Sergio not to fight it. So Max takes the lead. McLaren had a bit of dispute between the two drivers. Ricardo wanted past Norris in the first stint because he was quicker, and then Norris wanted past Ricardo in the second stint, and neither happened.
Yeah.
Ricardo, though, at one point has DRS. He's basically passed. Oh, he's not passed. That's exaggeration. If he kept going and didn't back out at one point, he's through on the inside to turn one. But he did definitely back out deliberately. So he did save Norris's bacon at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
I didn't understand.
Ricardo fighting back again. Comparable with Norris throughout the race and qualifying, just thereabouts. We're talking about his career being over. And then this is a fighting spirit for this round, at least.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just Ferrari, McLaren seem to be a bit cautious during the races with their strategy. You'd have thought they would have released Ricardo in the first stint
Yeah, I think so.
and then released Norris in the second stint with fresh mediums, but again, second race in a row, they're just banking the points.
I think if they released Ricardo in the first stint, I don't think Norris would be near him in the second stint.
No, it seems weird that you'd compromise someone who had more pace just to keep trying to have Lando in front of Alonso, which he was nowhere near doing.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, was it? It was something like 8
No.
seconds behind
Yeah,
when it all settled down, so it was clear that it wasn't going to happen.
it just it seems like McLaren need to be a bit sharper, but they're just trying to take what they can get in the moment.
Mm.
Tsunoda's does rear wing then snaps in half, and AlphaTauri break out the duct tape, which apparently is okay.
I cannot believe that car was not black flagged.
In the world of Formula One, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it turned out to be quite a secure fix. It lasted the race, but I can't believe that they took the risk of it not just flying off into someone else.
Did you see the onboard shot of when it broke? Like, only one half went up, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was dodgy to start with.
Because I saw in one of the replays or back-facing views 2 laps or so before that, you could see the actuator was flipping up and down.
Ah, I didn't spot that.
Because I didn't realise what it was at that point. I was just like, what's that hanging off the top of the rear wing? And then they then showed the second replay of it snapping itself in half.
Not ideal, but yeah.
No.
Well, okay. Well, the sticky tape worked.
Yeah.
Tell you what, it didn't work. Turns out our curtain rail was broken, unbeknownst to us this morning. I went to open the curtains downstairs, and it fell off in my hand because the sticky tape that was been in there for, I don't know, 10 years before I bought the house finally failed. Brilliant.
It's great when that happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
You need Formula 1 spec duct tape.
I don't have the AlphaTauri tape.
Well, probably fine. Well, Nicholas Latifi picked up a bunch of penalties. He got, I think, a stop-go penalty for a start infringement where a mechanic touched his car.
Obvious.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't get it because before the formation happened, the mechanic decided to go back to the car and push him back in his box. But it's like, it's a formation lap.
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
He's going to go in a second.
Mm.
So, you got to
Weird.
stop go. And then they got a 5-second penalty for ignoring blue flags because he decided he was going to give Gasly the DRS when Gasly was fighting Hamilton.
Is it time for a conspiracy theory? They want rid of Latifi, so they just deliberately ruined his race.
Quite possibly.
Is that too far?
Very possible.
But the
rumours
rumours are that
Mm.
after you,
Oscar Piastri.
apparently it's already signed as well, if you believe some
Yeah.
sources.
Well, some of the rumours say he's going to join mid-season, but I can't see that one happening unless Latifi
Wow.
really does something bad.
Wow.
But yeah,
Anyway,
Oscar Piastri and Renault engines.
well, that would make sense.
Mm.
Renault desperately needs another engine
Yeah.
partner, don't they?
Mhm.
And it seems to be quite good so far this season.
Exactly, yeah.
Yep. And Mercedes have said they need to get rid of an engine partner going
Mhm.
forward because
Oh,
it
well,
doesn't
there you
make
go.
them any money anymore.
Yep.
So it would make sense.
Yeah.
Any more from Baku for you guys? The big talking point was the porpoising and the bouncing, which gave Hamilton and Ricciardo sore backs.
I would
see
say
them both crawling at the car in pain, but
superb drive from both Mercedes drivers, I thought.
Yeah.
On one small point, which I heard, I think it was Andrew Van Leeuwen, the Australian journalist, he said that George Russell, there's a whole debate of George Russell is smashing Lewis Hamilton. But you have to think that this car seems to be very average or very difficult to drive to extract the performance.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what George has had to do for 3 years in a row
Yeah.
in the Williams. Whereas Lewis has had, I'm not saying it's easy, but he's clearly had a very good car. And now he's got one you need to extract. And maybe there's just time to adjust to the actually how much you have to do to ring it out.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
but
I've
he
seen that.
still did really well through that race to get fourth
Mm.
from, was it 8th? And
Yeah.
downside was qualifying 8th. That's his fault, but still very good. But yeah, just seeing how their backs were hurting. There's some onboard shots, not just the backs as well, right? Where the bouncing is just crazy
Yeah.
at that circuit.
The amount their heads are flying about, I'm surprised they can see any of the corners.
Just makes you think there's going to be long-term damage to all these drivers. 10 years' time.
Mm.
What's the thing they call? I can't remember what they call it, but in NFL, they have these head injuries that start cropping up 10 years later. And it's
CTE.
yeah. I'm not saying it's that, but there's got to be something for back-related problems,
Yeah. What was the theory Ralph Schumacher came out with that Hamilton's seat position may have something to do with why he's being affected more?
Oh, interesting.
He doesn't know.
Not seen
but
that.
He said if Hamilton has a slightly more upright position in the car, he would have more pressure on the back, on the base of his
Ah.
spine.
Right.
But it's just a theory.
Yeah.
It's a big hoo-ha over the weekend, and everyone bar Red Bull was asking the FIA to look at changing the rules to try and help it.
Mm.
Part of me kind of just goes, well, Red Bull managed to design around it, why can't you? But then another part of me goes, that amount of bouncing, it's not just bad for your back, it's terrible for your brain health, because their heads have been shaking that much as well, and that's horrific for long-term brain injuries.
What would they do to change it? What increase the minimum ride height or something like this?
Yeah,
Minimum ride height, and George has been asking for active suspension.
Mm-hmm.
Oh well, that's
Previously.
but that's such an expensive, crazy thing that's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah, that was rumoured to be like a standard active suspension across all the cars, but I can't see how that can work with all the cars being totally different.
Yeah, not sure about that one.
No.
Some of the analysis after the race was interesting because it looked like actually Mercedes were running a car lower than Red Bull, and Red Bull had less of an issue. So it's like Mercedes seemed to have pushed it too far to try and get performance. So again, it's up to the teams to choose the balance, and if they want the FIA to step in, they'll need to put a limit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So, any more for you guys?
No, that covers it for me.
Nothing for me. I just think it was a not particularly exciting Azerbaijan Grand Prix this time around.
No safety cars.
No,
Only virtuals.
Yeah.
no.
Which is mad.
When I was playing the F1 Manager game recently, they have safety cars and red flags factored in based on historical stats. So there were a lot of them, but they're gonna have to change. They're gonna have to change that now.
Yeah.
Based on this one.
Yeah. So we're in Canada this weekend.
Nice.
My favourite track.
Same for me.
2 Canadian drivers, are they going to get on a podium? No.
No.
No. Are they going to end
And
up in
it's-
Q2? No.
It's also enjoyable as well because it's an evening race for us here. Qualifying's on at 9 at night, and the race is on at 7 at night. So
Brilliant.
We get a nice evening race, which is I always enjoy.
Yeah.
Oh, but it means for those without Sky, have to wait till 3 a.m. to watch it.
That's a good
But-
point.
Bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shame for you, not for me, but shame for you.
Yeah, I'm good.
I have someone else's Sky Go, so it's fine. So that's all. We'll then see you next week for the Canadian Grand Prix. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Nick.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very
Thanks
much.
for listening. And we'll see you next week.
See you later.
Au revoir. Is that what they say in Canada?